This is Mr. Eugene, and today we're talking about something that will make a lot of people uncomfortable. Something backed by science but ignored by culture. Something that explains why so many marriages to women with extensive relationship histories end in disaster. Women over 35 with multiple sexual partners cannot pair bond the way women with low partner counts can. This is not moral judgment. This is not condemnation. This is biological and psychological reality. The mechanism that allows human beings to form deep, lasting attachment to a romantic partner gets damaged with each additional sexual relationship. And past a certain threshold, past a certain number of partners, that mechanism breaks permanently. She can still get married, she can still say the words, she can still perform the rituals. But the actual neurological and psychological capacity to bond deeply with a husband is compromised or destroyed. This is why marriages to promiscuous women fail at dramatically higher rates. This is why women with high partner counts report lower marital satisfaction. This is why these women can't stay faithful, can't stay satisfied, can't stop comparing, can't stop looking for something better. The damage is real, the damage is measurable, and for most women, the damage is permanent. Today, I'm going to show you the science behind pair bonding, how it gets damaged, why it doesn't heal, what the specific signs look like, and why men need to understand this before committing to women with extensive sexual histories. Stay with me. This gets darker as we go deeper into the research, the science, how pair bonding actually works. Let me start with the biology, because until you understand how pair bonding works, you can't understand how it breaks. Oxytocin and pair bonding in humans is primarily mediated by a hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is released during physical intimacy, particularly during orgasm. It's also released during childbirth and breastfeeding. The purpose of oxytocin is to create emotional attachment, to bond you to the person you're physically intimate with. This served an evolutionary purpose, keeping couples together long enough to raise vulnerable human children who need years of care. Here's how it's supposed to work. A woman has her first sexual relationship. Oxytocin is released. She bonds to that partner. The bond creates loyalty, attachment, desire to maintain the relationship. This bonding mechanism kept ancestral couples together. The first partner effect research shows that the first sexual partner creates the strongest bond. The oxytocin response is most powerful with the first partner. The attachment is deepest. The emotional connection is most intense. This is why first loves feel so powerful. Why people remember their first sexual partner decades later. Why the first relationship often sets the template for all future relationships. The neurological pathways being created are fresh, unused. The bonding mechanism is operating at full strength. The attachment forms deeply. What happens with multiple partners? But here's what the research shows happens with multiple sequential partners. Each additional partner weakens the oxytocin bonding response. The second partner creates a weaker bond than the first. The third creates a weaker bond than the second. By the fifth, sixth, seventh partner, the bonding response is significantly diminished. Why? Because the brain is adapting. It's learning that partners are temporary, that intimacy doesn't mean permanence, that bonding is pointless because the person will leave anyway. The oxytocin receptors in the brain literally decrease in number and sensitivity with each additional partner. This is measurable. This is documented in neurological research. By the time a woman has had 10, 15, 20 partners, her bonding mechanism is severely compromised. The oxytocin response that should create deep attachment barely functions. She's physically capable of sex, but she's neurologically incapable of the bonding that sex is meant to create. The pair bonding threshold research suggests there's a threshold, a number of partners beyond which pair bonding becomes extremely difficult or impossible. The studies vary, but most suggest that beyond 5 to 7 sexual partners, pair bonding capacity is significantly damaged. Beyond 10 to 15 partners, it's severely compromised. Beyond 20 partners, it's often destroyed completely. This isn't speculation. Sociological data shows that divorce rates increase dramatically with partner count. Women with 0 to 1 prior partners have divorce rates around 5 to 10%. Women with 10 plus prior partners have divorce rates exceeding 35 to 40%. The correlation is clear and consistent across multiple studies. More partners equals less ability to maintain marriage, because the pair bonding mechanism is broken. The psychological damage, what multiple partners create, the neurological damage, is only part of the story. There's also profound psychological damage that accumulates with multiple partners. Evaluative conditioning women who've cycled through many partners develop what psychologists call evaluative conditioning. Their thinking gets wired to perpetually assess alternatives. Instead of investing in the relationship they're in, they're constantly evaluating whether someone better exists, constantly comparing their current partner to previous partners, constantly scanning for improvements. This makes deep satisfaction impossible, because no matter how good the current partner is, the evaluative mindset always finds flaws, always wonders if someone else would be better, always keeps one foot out the door. A woman with low partner count experiences her husband as her partner. A woman with high partner count experiences her husband as her current partner. The difference is everything. The first builds investment. The second maintains exit strategy. Inability to be satisfied. Women with extensive sexual histories develop chronic dissatisfaction. Nothing is ever enough. No partner is ever quite right. No relationship fully satisfies. This isn't because the partners are inadequate. It's because her psychological framework is broken. She's chasing the neurological high of early relationship oxytocin that she can no longer achieve because her receptors are damaged. So she's perpetually dissatisfied, perpetually wondering if someone else would feel better, perpetually comparing and finding current reality lacking. Her husband can be a good man, providing well, treating her well, being a good father. And she's still fundamentally dissatisfied because the problem isn't him. The problem is her damaged bonding mechanism seeking a neurological response it can't achieve anymore. Detachment during intimacy. Women with many previous partners develop emotional detachment during physical intimacy. They've learned to separate physical act from emotional connection. This was adaptive during years of casual relationships. Separating sex from emotion protected them from pain when partners left, but this adaptation destroys marriage. A husband experiences physical intimacy as emotional bonding. A wife with extensive history experiences it as physical act. She's present physically but absent emotionally. This creates profound disconnect. He's trying to connect emotionally through physical intimacy. She's going through motions with emotional walls firmly in place. Over time, this disconnect kills the marriage. He feels alone even during intimacy. She wonders why physical connection doesn't create the satisfaction it's supposed to. Neither understands that her bonding mechanism is broken, that the emotional connection that should accompany physical intimacy no longer forms properly. Inability to navigate conflict. Women with extensive relationship histories never learned to work through conflict. Their pattern was, when difficulty appears, leave and find someone new. This pattern worked for years. Problem in relationship? End it. Find someone easier. Start fresh. No need to develop conflict resolution skills because exit was always available. But marriage requires working through conflict, requires staying when things are hard, requires resolution instead of exit. She doesn't have these skills. Never develop them. So when normal marital conflict occurs, her instinct is exit. Leave. Find someone new. The marriage becomes unstable. Every disagreement threatens the relationship. Every difficult period activates her exit instinct. Her husband is constantly managing her flight risk instead of building partnership. Attachment disorders. Years of rotating partners, detached intimacy, and serial relationship failure create genuine attachment disorders. Anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, disorganized attachment. These disorders make healthy relationship impossible. She simultaneously craves connection and fears it. Wants intimacy but can't tolerate vulnerability, needs security but sabotages stability. Her attachment patterns are so damaged that even when she has a good man committed to her, she cannot accept it healthily, cannot trust it, cannot rest in it. This creates relationships characterized by drama, instability, and emotional chaos. Not because the partner is bad, because her attachment system is broken. The specific signs, how damaged bonding shows up. Let me show you exactly how damaged pair bonding manifests in marriage. The specific behaviors that indicate she cannot bond properly. She talks about exes. Constantly a woman who bonded and released properly rarely mentions exes. They're part of the past, not relevant to current reality. A woman with damaged bonding talks about exes constantly. References them in conversations, compares you to them, brings them up regularly. Why? Because she never properly detached. The damaged bonding mechanism means she's still partially attached to multiple people from her past. She's carrying fractured bonds with exes instead of full bond with you. Her mind is populated with ghosts of previous relationships, and those ghosts compete with you for her emotional attention. She can't fully commit emotionally. She's married to you, legally bound, living together, sharing life. But emotionally, she's only partially present. Part of her is always held back, reserved, defended. She cannot fully open herself to you, cannot be completely vulnerable, cannot give herself entirely. This isn't conscious withholding, it's protective mechanism developed from years of relationships ending. Her psychology learned that full emotional investment leads to pain, so she protects herself by never fully investing. You feel this, feel that you don't fully have her, that she's partly somewhere else, that she's married to you but not entirely yours. This creates profound loneliness. You're married but alone. She's present but absent. She maintains backup options. Women with damage bonding cannot fully close doors to alternatives. They maintain male friendships that are clearly more than friendship. They keep exes accessible. They maintain social media connections with men who are interested. Why? Because damaged bonding creates insecurity about current relationship. She cannot fully trust the bond because she cannot fully form the bond. So she maintains exit options. A woman who can pair bond properly closes these doors, removes temptation, focuses entirely on her husband, creates boundaries that protect the marriage. A woman with damaged bonding keeps options open, maybe unconsciously, but she's hedging, unable to fully commit because unable to fully bond. She's sexually available but emotionally absent. The sex happens. Maybe not frequently, maybe not enthusiastically, but it happens. She's physically available, but emotionally she's not there. She's going through motions. Performing, present physically but absent mentally and emotionally. You feel this. Sex feels empty, disconnected, mechanical. You're having sex with her body but not connecting with her person. This is damaged bonding. The physical act separated from emotional connection. She learned to do this with dozens of previous partners. She cannot reconnect them now. She experiences chronic, low-grade unhappiness. Nothing is specifically wrong. Life is objectively good. Marriage is stable. Husband is decent. Children are healthy. Finances are fine. But she's fundamentally unhappy. Low-grade depression, vague dissatisfaction, sense that something is missing, feeling that life isn't what it should be. This isn't circumstantial. This is neurological. Her bonding mechanism is broken. She cannot achieve the deep satisfaction that proper pair bonding creates, so she's chronically, slightly miserable. She attributes this to various things. Her husband isn't romantic enough. The marriage lost its spark. Life is boring. She needs more excitement. But the real problem is her damaged neurology seeking a response it cannot achieve, and no external change will fix internal damage. The research, what the studies actually show, let me show you the actual data, because when you see the numbers, the reality becomes undeniable. Partner count and divorce rate. Multiple large-scale studies have examined the relationship between premarital sexual partners and divorce rates. The correlation is consistent and dramatic. Women with 0 premarital partners, 5 to 6% divorce rate within 5 years. Women with 1 premarital partner, 10 to 12% divorce rate. Women with 2 premarital partners, 18 to 20% divorce rate. Women with 3 to 5 premarital partners, 25 to 28% divorce rate. Women with 6 to 10 premarital partners, 33 to 35% divorce rate. Women with 10 plus premarital partners, 35 to 40% plus divorce rate. The pattern is clear. More partners, more divorce. The relationship is nearly linear until you get to very high partner counts where it plateaus at extremely high divorce risk. This isn't coincidence. This is damaged pair bonding manifesting as inability to maintain marriage. Partner count and marital satisfaction studies on marital satisfaction show similar patterns. Women with low partner counts report significantly higher marital satisfaction than women with high partner counts. Women with 0 to 1 prior partners report very happy marriage at rates around 65 to 70%. Women with 10 plus prior partners report very happy marriage at rates around 35 to 40%. Even when the marriages persist, they're less satisfying. The woman is less happy. The bond is weaker. The connection is shallower. Because the pair bonding mechanism is damaged. Partner count and infidelity. Women with higher partner counts are dramatically more likely to cheat in marriage. Some studies show 2 to 3 times higher infidelity rates for women with 10 plus partners versus women with 0 to 1 partners. Why? Damaged bonding creates inability to maintain sexual exclusivity. The neural pathways that should create loyalty and sexual focus on one partner are compromised. She's more likely to seek novelty, more likely to respond to attention from other men, more likely to cross boundaries. Because the bonding that should prevent these behaviors is broken. Oxytocin receptor studies, neurological research on oxytocin receptors shows that receptor density and sensitivity decrease with number of sexual partners. This is measurable in brain imaging studies. Women who've had many partners show significantly reduced oxytocin receptor function compared to women who've had few partners. The mechanism that creates bonding is literally physiologically damaged. This damage appears to be largely permanent. The brain adapts to serial partnering by reducing bonding capacity, and re-expanding that capacity after it's contracted is extremely difficult, if not impossible. Why the damage doesn't heal? Here's the critical question. Can damaged pair bonding heal? Can a woman with extensive sexual history recover the capacity to bond properly? For most women, the answer is no. The damage is permanent. Here's why. Neurological adaptation is persistent. The brain's adaptation to multiple partners, the reduction in oxytocin receptors, is not temporary. It's structural change to brain chemistry. The brain learned partners are temporary, bonding is pointless, attachment leads to pain. These lessons are encoded deeply. Reversing them requires retraining the brain. And that retraining is extremely difficult with intimate relationships because each new relationship reinforces the old pattern. She would need to maintain a relationship for years while her brain slowly rebuilds bonding capacity. But damaged bonding makes maintaining relationships for years nearly impossible. So she's trapped in a cycle where the damage prevents the healing that would require stable relationship that the damage prevents. Psychological patterns become automatic. The evaluative conditioning, the emotional detachment, the conflict avoidance through exit, all of these become automatic, unconscious, operating beneath awareness. She's not choosing to evaluate alternatives. She's not deciding to detach emotionally. She's not consciously maintaining exit options. These patterns run automatically. Changing automatic patterns requires intensive therapeutic work over years. Most women never do this work, never even recognize the patterns as problems, so the patterns persist indefinitely. The identity shift. After years of serial relationships, her identity becomes structured around being the kind of woman who has serial relationships. The independent woman, the exploratory woman, the sexually liberated woman. This identity is incompatible with the dependent vulnerability that deep pair bonding requires. To bond deeply, she would need to abandon her constructed identity. Become someone different. Admit that her previous choices damaged her. Most women cannot or will not do this. The identity is too central. The admission is too painful. So they maintain the damaged version and wonder why relationships don't satisfy. The past cannot be undone. Every previous partner is permanent history. She cannot unbond from them, cannot erase the neurological imprints, cannot undo the psychological patterns they created. Her husband is competing with ghosts, with memories, with comparisons, with fractured bonds that still exist in her neurology. No amount of therapy, time, or intention erases that. The past happened. The damage occurred. The bonds formed and broke. That's permanent. Real examples, damaged bonding in action. Example 1, the serial comparer woman, 38, married for 4 years. Husband is good man, provides well, treats her respectfully, loves her, but she constantly compares him to exes. My ex used to do it this way. I remember when previous partner took me here. You're not as whatever as ex-boyfriend. Her husband tries to address it. She says she's just making conversation. Doesn't mean anything, but it means everything. It means she never fully detached from previous partners, never fully bonded to current partner. Her mind is still populated with past relationships competing for emotional space. The marriage is unstable. She's fundamentally dissatisfied, not because he's inadequate, because her bonding mechanism is broken. Example 2, the exit seeker woman, 36, married for 2 years. First real conflict occurs. Disagreement about finances. Not severe, just normal marital tension. Her immediate response, maybe we made a mistake. Maybe this isn't working. Maybe we should separate. Her husband is shocked. It's one disagreement. Why is divorce the first option? Because her pattern for 15 years was difficulty appears, exit, find new partner. She never learned to work through conflict. Her damaged bonding created exit instinct instead of repair instinct. Every future conflict activates the same response. The marriage becomes constantly threatened. He's managing her flight risk instead of building partnership. Example 3, the emotionally detached wife woman, 37, married for 3 years. Sex happens occasionally, but her husband describes it as having sex with a ghost. She's physically present but emotionally absent, going through motions, clearly not engaged, not connected, just completing an obligation. He tries to discuss it. She doesn't understand what he means. She's having sex. What more does he want? What he wants is emotional connection during intimacy. what she cannot provide because 20-plus previous partners trained her to detach during sex. The bonding that should happen during intimacy doesn't happen because her mechanism is broken. The marriage is lonely despite physical intimacy, because intimacy without bonding is just mutual masturbation. The specific partner count thresholds let me be explicit about the numbers. Because men need clear guidance. 0 to 1 previous partners, optimal women who've had 0 to 1 sexual partners before marriage have the strongest pair bonding capacity. The mechanism is intact, undamaged, operating at full strength. These marriages have lowest divorce rates, highest satisfaction, best sexual exclusivity, strongest emotional connection. If you want the best odds of successful marriage, marry a woman with 0 to 1 previous partners. This is statistically optimal. 2 to 5 previous partners, moderate risk women with 2 to 5 previous partners show some bonding damage, but it's often manageable. Divorce rates are elevated but not catastrophic. Satisfaction is reduced but not destroyed. These women can often still pair bond adequately if they're motivated and self-aware. The damage is present but not necessarily relationship ending. This is moderate risk. Higher than optimal but not guaranteed failure. 6 to 10 previous partners. High-risk women with 6 to 10 previous partners show significant bonding damage. Divorce rates are substantially elevated. Satisfaction is notably reduced. Infidelity risk is increased. These women struggle to bond properly. The mechanisms are compromised. Success is possible but requires exceptional circumstances and significant effort. This is high risk, more likely to fail than succeed. 10 to 20 previous partners. Severe risk women with 10 to 20 previous partners have severe bonding damage. Divorce rates exceed 35%. Marital satisfaction is low. Infidelity is likely. Chronic dissatisfaction is nearly guaranteed. These women cannot bond properly in most cases. The damage is too extensive. The patterns too ingrained. The neurological changes too profound. This is severe risk. Failure is more likely than success by substantial margin. 20-plus previous partners. Catastrophic risk women with 20-plus previous partners have catastrophic bonding damage. The pair bonding mechanism is essentially destroyed. Successful marriage is statistically rare. These women almost universally fail at marriage. The damage is too complete. The capacity is too compromised. The patterns too automatic. Avoid entirely. The odds are so poor that commitment is irrational. What men need to understand her past absolutely matters. The culture tells you the past doesn't matter, that judging women for sexual history is wrong, that real men accept women's pasts without question. The culture is lying to you. The past matters. It's the best predictor of the future. Her bonding capacity is determined by her history. Investigate her past before committing. Know what you're getting. Make informed decisions based on reality. She cannot change this. She might claim she's different now, that she's grown, that she's ready to settle down, that her past doesn't affect her present. She's wrong or lying. The neurological damage is permanent. The psychological patterns are deeply ingrained. The bonding capacity is compromised. She cannot simply decide to bond properly. The mechanism is broken. Intention doesn't repair physiological damage. Don't believe promises of change. Believe patterns. Believe history. Believe science. Low partner count is non-negotiable. If you want successful marriage, partner count must be screening criterion, not the only criterion, but a necessary one. A woman can be beautiful, successful, intelligent, charming, and still be a terrible marriage prospect if her partner count is high. Damaged bonding destroys everything else. No other qualities compensate for inability to pair bond. Make low partner count non-negotiable. It's not shallow, it's rational risk assessment based on data. You cannot fix her. Some men think they'll be different, that their love will heal her damage, that they'll be the one she finally bonds with properly. You won't. You're not special. You cannot overcome her neurology with your feelings. The bonding mechanism is broken at physiological level. Love doesn't repair oxytocin receptors. Commitment doesn't reverse years of psychological conditioning. Don't enter relationships thinking you'll fix damaged women. You'll just become another ex-boyfriend in her collection while destroying yourself in the process. What women need to understand: your choices have permanent consequences. Every sexual partner damages your bonding capacity. This is not moral judgment. This is biological reality. You can call it unfair. You can call it sexist. You can say the same doesn't apply to men. None of that changes the reality. Your choices have consequences. Those consequences are largely permanent. You cannot undo them by deciding you're ready to settle down now. The damage accumulates, and good men are noticing. You cannot hide the damage. You can lie about your partner count. You can minimize your history. You can present yourself as having fewer partners than you actually had. But you cannot hide the damage. It shows in how you relate, in your inability to fully bond, in your chronic dissatisfaction, in your evaluative mindset, in your emotional detachment. A perceptive man will see it even if he doesn't know the numbers. He'll feel that something is wrong, that you're not fully present, that the bond isn't forming properly. The damage is visible in behavior even when history is hidden. Good men are avoiding you, the best men, the men with options, the men who would make excellent husbands, are increasingly aware of this dynamic. They're screening for partner count. They're avoiding women with extensive histories. They're choosing younger women with less damage. Or they're staying single rather than accepting broken bonding. You can complain this is unfair. But complaining doesn't change their behavior. They're making rational decisions based on data and experience. The pool of good men willing to accept damaged bonding is shrinking, and the men who remain willing are often low-value men with no better options. Final thoughts. Women over 35 with multiple sexual partners cannot pair bond the way women with low partner counts can. This is not opinion. This is measurable, documented, scientific reality. The oxytocin receptors are damaged. The neurological pathways are compromised. The psychological patterns are deeply ingrained. The bonding mechanism is broken. This manifests as chronic dissatisfaction, as emotional detachment during intimacy, as inability to navigate conflict, as maintaining backup options, as talking constantly about exes, as comparing current partner unfavorably to previous partners. The research is clear. The correlation between partner count and divorce is dramatic. The correlation between partner count and marital dissatisfaction is substantial. The correlation between partner count and infidelity is significant. The damage is real. The damage is permanent. And men need to understand this before committing to women with extensive sexual histories. This is not about morality. This is about reality, about making informed decisions, about understanding that choices have consequences and some consequences cannot be reversed. The woman who preserved her bonding capacity can offer you genuine connection, deep loyalty, real satisfaction, stable marriage. The woman who damaged her bonding capacity can offer you performance, temporary commitment, chronic dissatisfaction, statistical likelihood of divorce. Choose accordingly. Your future depends on it. Drop a comment. Men, have you experienced damaged bonding in relationships? Women, do you recognize these patterns in yourself? Subscribe for the science-based truth about relationships that culture actively hides from you.